Hello again viewers, this is J Curve and today we're going to cook mashed potatoes. I have a very special recipe that I have refined over many years, and it really is a special mashed potato. I find with a lot of cuisines it's very important to get the simple things right. I mean, the mashed potato, there's no reason why it can't be the star of the dish. We've probably eaten tons of potatoes in our lives. It's a staple part of our cuisines in many countries. And the flavour is something that we all know. So to be able to accentuate the right flavours and bring out a nice tasting mashed potato is a wonderful achievement. And if you just follow my recipe carefully, I'm sure it will be the best mashed potato you have ever tried. Okay, first we've peeled and mashed the potatoes. I didn't need to go through that with you. And you'll know if you can't pick it up with the skewer that it's perfectly cooked, not a chance. Potatoes I've selected for this are a floury potato, and you should try to avoid the waxy potatoes for mashing because we really want to keep it very fluffy. And in saying that, this little contraption is very important too, because as you mash it, it really does allow a lot of air in between. Obviously we can accelerate the time by cutting them into smaller pieces, but I like to keep them full just to be able to make it as fluffy as possible. You see, the trade-off when you do cut the potatoes in size and cook them faster is that they tend to get waterlogged, and you really want to avoid putting too much water inside the potato, and that's why we've got the potato. If you look at that carefully, you'll see there's plenty of air there, it's nice and fluffy, and we really want to keep it as fluffy as possible throughout the process. A little bit of milk and a little bit of olive oil for flavour, nothing else. Don't get extra virgin olive oil, just keep it with a light olive oil, otherwise it will overwhelm the flavours. Another little ingredient I like to add, and this is a secret, you've probably never seen it before, is celery salt. This, funny enough, is probably the secret ingredient to a good salt and pepper calamari. You know, the salt and pepper flavour you get when you have salt and pepper calamari or salt and pepper prawns in Chinese restaurants. And again, as I mentioned before, I tend to add about 5 times the amount of salt prescribed by most other cooking shows. Keep it fluffy, we don't want to stir it too much. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fry this. What I use again, as I mentioned to you before, my favourite cooking appliance will be the wok, and the frying of it will recreate that hot chips. You'll see it's nice and light. And the next step is turn the wok on, plenty of butter, be liberal, don't be shy, pretend to be French. Okay, that's roughly about 40 grams of butter. And as I've mentioned to you in almost every cooking show, whenever you get the opportunity, always clean. We have got the butter nicely melted, and as I mentioned to you before, whenever you're cooking with flavoursome oil like olive oil and butter, but you want to effectively fry, always add a high burning oil like a peanut oil or a sunflower oil that will elevate the burn temperature right up. We're going to add this to the butter, and we're literally going to fry it. So what I'm doing here is, like, I like to pay homage to a life of eating chips, hot chips, and I try to recreate that kind of flavour in my mashed potatoes, and this seems to work rather well. So I'm literally just frying the mashed potatoes in some butter, having already mashed and added the flavours. And I can't stress to you the importance of tasting as we go along. And if you could just taste this, you would send me a $100 iTunes voucher just in appreciation, I have no doubt. What I personally like to do is to fry a little bit of onions and also mix that in there, but nobody else in my family likes it, so just quickly fry it and you'll recreate that wonderful flavor that you've grown to love of eating chips for a lifetime. Okay, I hope you enjoy your mashed potatoes. Rest assured, you will find them to be one of the best mashed potatoes you've ever experienced. Most of my friends do. And I'm just going to enjoy a nice little glass of Glenfiddich as I wait for my wife to arrive. One last thing you might like to add to the mashed potatoes, perhaps beef burgundy pie. I only kid. I made that beef burgundy pie earlier, and that is the subject of another cooking show that you can find amongst the shows on this YouTube page. Don't forget to subscribe, and cheers, bon appetit.